All right, first and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and great glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations to the elect pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth in truth and in sincerity. All right, in this particular video, I want to touch on the so-called deal that was supposed to be signed today. Now, you had a bunch of people here in the United States, jumping for fucking joy, clicking their heels, saying, okay, we got it, we made a deal. I told you Trump had a plan. I told you Trump had a plan. This is how they feel right now. They're screaming out, yelling out, peace and safety. All right, because there's a deal that was supposed to be signed today. Now, Iran still pushed the brakes on it and said, no. We have a few more things to negotiate before we sign this deal, which is, people are saying is worse than the deal that Obama made with them, And what are these negotiations that they have to get through before Iran signs? Well, one of them is a hard one. They have to stop Israel from bombing Lebanon and Gaza Strip, man. But Israel's not going to stop doing that because Israel has a plan called the Greater Israel Plan. All right? And that Greater Israel Plan is what? For them to take over. They don't want a two-state Israel. They want everything in Israel to be them, and they want to go outside of that and make it. That's why it's called Greater Israel. All right? So, but while they're doing these negotiations, what is happening right now? They just struck something in Iran. No. They just bombed Lebanon, I believe yesterday or something like that. And this is why the deals are being the signings are being held off. All right, pushed off right now. Not just that, there's some discrepancy between, when Iran signs, do they get $12 billion up front? Because after they supposedly sign the deal, they're supposed to open up the Straits of Hormuz, let tankers through, and then negotiate for 60 days. They get $12 billion when they sign, $12 billion to open up the Straits of Hormuz. At the end of that 60, they will receive about $100 billion, and they don't necessarily need to agree to give over their enriched uranium or anything like that. They don't need to agree. They're just saying, hey, we get $100 billion for negotiations, and we'll open up the Straits of Hormuz. They were supposed to sign today. Why didn't it happen? Once again, you got Israel continuing to strike Lebanon and the Gaza Strip. So you have them saying, whoa, we got a few more things to talk about. So people, they're in a debacle right now on what's supposed to happen or whatever. But they're still saying peace and safety. So I want to read something and then get inside of this video right here to just for a brief news update. All right. This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3, and we read, "For when they shall say peace and safety," which people are saying right now, they said Trump had a plan, and they believe this is his plan. And I know it's not the best deal or whatever like that, but we got one foot in the door. This is good. The Strait of Hormuz is going to open. We can have a good summer, and we can have a good Christmas this year. That's the only thing that they fucking worried about. They're saying peace and safety. But you know what happens after that? Then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. All right? You can say peace, safety as much as you want, but the prophecies have to come to pass. All right? World War III has to reach, the tensions have to keep going up to reach that climax, man. So where all hell is breaking loose, the MOTB has to still be implemented. You see? So if I was a betting man, and this is just me talking as just a brother, a man, I believe there's going to be no deal signed. There's not going to be no deal signed. Benjamin Netanyahu is mad right now because they're supposedly closing out Benjamin Netanyahu from being a part of these deals. So they don't want him to come. They're trying to go to Europe and then have Pakistan be, well, he said it might get signed in Europe, but now he's talking about it'll get signed electronically And Pakistan will be like the mediator between that or whatever. And they're trying to shut Benjamin Netanyahu out. And Benjamin Netanyahu said, you know what, fuck that, bomb Lebanon. And then now Iran is vowing an attack, a revenge attack on Israel. See, if them two are still going to work, because you got to think about it like this: if Iran and Israel are still locking ass with each other, United States can't go nowhere, because in the midst of like, if war was to go out in like 7 days, Israel be wiped off the fucking earth. Big brother America has to step in to protect Israel, and if Israel is not going to pipe down and simmer down and let them negotiate and stop bombing motherfuckers, then there's no deal. No deal's going to happen. All right? Don't forget, Iran said that they will only open up the Straits of Hormuz if Israel stops the bombing. And they bombed yesterday, and Iran is vowing to bomb them again. Come on now. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. You know, if I was a betting man, I say they're not going to sign a deal. And before they had deals already, you know, established, and it looked like things were going to go good, and then all of a sudden, like, let's say the deal was supposed to be signed at 2 o'clock. At 1:59, all hell broke loose and nothing got signed. So I'm looking at that, you know, happen again because of Israel. But let's hop aside of this video.
So, Mohammed, I think President Trump has announced 39 times that there was a peace deal, although this one, perhaps we shouldn't call it a peace deal, but that there is some form of agreement that will allow for negotiations. The Pakistanis, of course, are quite optimistic.
They're bombing.
Why is that popping up right there? Ain't nothing but say it.
Villages and towns across the south and central part of Lebanon. Pace. The killings are increasing. They're bombing villages and towns across the south and central part of Lebanon, killing tens of people every day, men, women, children. It doesn't really matter to them at all. And they're doing that to flatten the entire south, to make it look like Gaza, and many places are already looking like Gaza. So the resistance from the Israeli regime and from the Israeli lobby may disrupt progress, even if there is a signing. But at the end of the day, even if it's not disrupted, then we go to phase 2, and there things become even more complicated, because there are the issues of sanctions against Iran that need to be lifted. Many of them are law in the United States.
Not just that, the nuclear program, which is a hard line that America and Israel wants to address with Iran. And Iran said, well, that's off the table. So the negotiations is dead on arrival. We've been saying this since this so-called war started 100 days ago. All right? Bugs, they're not giving up their missile defense program, their nuclear program. They're not giving up their allyship with their proxies, Hezbollah, Houthis, and Hamas. They're not. There's certain things that's just not going to happen. And that's all the things that the United States wants to address. So Iran is on some shit like, all right, y'all want to talk? Well, give us up to like $100 billion and we'll talk with y'all. You know, some people are saying it's a bad deal. Most people here in the United States are jumping for fucking joy because the Straits of Hormuz is saying it's going to be open. And the only thing they care about is these gas prices and them shopping and eating and celebrating these damn holidays and being a bunch of freaks and goddamn creeps here in Babylon. So that's the only thing they're looking at. But, you know, let's see what happens.
And, of course, Iran's nuclear program is not something that the country is willing to dismantle or to cast aside. They will not give up enrichment because it's a sovereign right. So there's a huge minefield
Literally.
lying ahead. And as we speak, the strait is still closed. We're moving towards global economic crisis. And if the MOU is signed and we move forward and there's disruption, that the strait can be closed again. So nothing is for certain.
I want to ask about Lebanon, because this has been from the moment the ceasefire was announced, and it was a ceasefire that the United States violated, and Israel, of course, violated it immediately by carrying out a kind of very, very heavy attack in, I think, 10 minutes in Lebanon. But and of course we see it with the quote unquote ceasefire agreement in Gaza. I think 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israel since this was put into place. I'm wondering if this is the kind of trajectory that we're going to stumble forward into, where it's just periodic violations, periodic strikes, and then an utter refusal on the part of Israel to abide by one of the core demands of Iran, and that is that an end to hostilities in Lebanon. The argument being that Iran will not attack U.S. allies in the region as part of the agreement, but at the same time, Israel and the United States cannot attack Iranian allies such as Hezbollah.
Well, it also includes Gaza, although it's not named. But because of the heavy airstrikes on villages and towns and cities in Lebanon, the country is named specifically. But that is a possibility, and that is what the Iranians are saying will prevent the deal from succeeding. The Iranians have a huge amount of leverage, and that is, of course, the Strait of Hormuz. And because of its ability to block the Strait of Hormuz from being used by U.S. allies, because Iran is not closing the Strait of Hormuz, it's never closed it completely. Countries that were friendly to Iran during the war or did not participate in the onslaught against the country, their ships go back and forth. They've been going back and forth throughout this period, except for when the Americans forced the strait to be completely closed for a few days. But like countries like the Saudis, the Emiratis, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, their ships cannot go through, or ships that are linked to them cannot go through, because they participated in the war. So in this agreement, they will be allowed to go and use the strait. But if the Israelis violate the deal, that means the Americans have violated the deal. And we saw what happened last time.
You see? Because that's little Satan and big Satan. So if that's how they looking at it, if Israel breaks the deal, violates the deal, well then, the United States violates the deal. Well, they're bombing each other right now. So that to me, they're not going to sign nothing. This is one of those moments where Babylonians is going to smile and think things are going to happen, and they're going to be let the fuck down. This is what I think. But who knows, man? That's neither here nor there. But, hey, I'm pretty much reached the point. Hope this was edifying. Hope you could take something from this brief news update. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.